The morning started like any other episode of The View. The New York studio buzzed with the chatter of producers, makeup artists, and assistants scurrying around with coffee cups in hand. Harrison Ford, Hollywood legend and the man who had given life to characters like Han Solo and Indiana Jones, was in the green room, sipping tea. At 83, Ford still carried himself with a rugged charisma that drew people in without effort. Today's appearance was meant to be lighthearted, a promotional stop for his new eco-documentary about climate change and wildlife conservation. In the green room, a production assistant briefed him on the topics. "We'll talk about the documentary, your career, a couple of fan questions, and then the panel discussion about Hollywood's responsibility in politics." Harrison nodded politely. He'd been through hundreds of interviews, he knew the rhythm. What he didn't know, or maybe underestimated, was how The View could turn a calm conversation into a verbal minefield. The audience clapped as Joy Behar, Whoopi Goldberg, Sunny Hostin, and Sarah Haynes took their seats. The cameras panned to the entrance where Harrison walked on stage, wearing a navy blue blazer, faded jeans, and that familiar half-smirk. He waved modestly and sat down beside Joy. At first, everything went smoothly. They talked about his legendary roles, the dangerous stunts he'd done himself, and his passion for aviation. Joy, who had a reputation for pushing guests into politically charged territory, seemed unusually cordial for the first 5 minutes. Then came the panel segment about celebrities speaking out on social and political issues. It was meant to be a general debate, but Joy had other plans. "So, Harrison," she began, leaning forward with a mischievous glint, "you've spent decades playing heroes who fight injustice. Do you think Hollywood stars have a duty to speak up politically, or should they just, stick to entertaining us?" Harrison smiled faintly. "I think people should speak when they feel compelled to, not because they're expected to. I don't like being told I have a duty to have an opinion." Joy pounced. "But you've been outspoken about climate change, haven't you? Isn't that political?" "It's scientific," Harrison corrected calmly. "It's not about party lines, it's about facts." The tension ticked up. Whoopi tried to lighten the mood with a joke, but Joy wasn't done. She pressed harder. "But when you criticize certain policies, Harrison, you're taking sides whether you admit it or not. Don't you think your fans, many of whom may disagree with you, feel alienated?" Harrison's jaw tightened. "I'm not in the business of catering my beliefs to make everyone comfortable. If I think something's wrong, I'll say it. That's not politics, that's conscience." The studio audience murmured. Sunny Hostin shifted uncomfortably in her chair, sensing the slow boil turning into a rapid simmer. Joy smirked. "But isn't it a little hypocritical? You fly planes for fun, Harrison. How much carbon do you think you're putting into the atmosphere while preaching about saving the planet?" The question landed like a slap. The audience gasped. Even Whoopi's eyebrows shot up. Harrison leaned back, visibly bristling. "You're trying to catch me in a contradiction, Joy, but you're ignoring the fact that I put far more time and money into conservation than most. I'm not perfect, nobody is, but I act on what I believe in." Joy laughed, and it wasn't a friendly laugh. "Oh, come on, you can't just." That's when Harrison's voice, usually calm and gravelly, sharpened. "You invited me here to talk about the work I'm doing. If you just wanted to score points by calling me a hypocrite, you could have done that without wasting my time." The crowd oohed. Joy's expression hardened. "Well, maybe people just want honesty instead of Hollywood lecturing them." Harrison pushed his chair back slightly. "Honesty. Fine. Honesty is, people like you turn every issue into a tribal fight so you can have your little gotcha moment on TV." Gasps and applause erupted simultaneously. Whoopi looked from one to the other, clearly debating whether to cut to commercial. Instead, Joy shot back, "Oh, so now you're attacking me personally." "That's exactly what you've been doing for the last 5 minutes, Harrison replied, his voice low but cutting. The tension was now a bonfire. By this point, the cameras were still rolling, and producers were gesturing wildly behind the scenes. But the exchange had its own gravitational pull. Neither Joy nor Harrison seemed willing to break it off. Joy leaned forward, pointing a finger slightly. "You think just because you're a movie star, you can come on here and—" Harrison interrupted, voice rising. "No, I think because I'm a human being, I can speak my mind without being ambushed." The audience clapped again, some cheering, others murmuring in discomfort. Sarah Haynes tried to interject, okay, let's bring it back to, but Joy raised her hand to silence her. Oh please, Joy said. You celebrities always cry. Ambush, the moment someone asks a tough question. Harrison chuckled bitterly. Tough questions are fine. Cheap shots aren't. And frankly, I've got better things to do than sit here while you try to score viral soundbites. Then, without warning, Harrison stood up. The crew scrambled to adjust cameras. Whoopi said, Harrison, come on, but he was already walking toward the stage exit. Enjoy your ratings, he tossed over his shoulder. I'm out. The audience gasped as the legendary actor disappeared backstage. The cameras lingered on Joy, who looked both shocked and defiant. In the control room, the director's voice crackled, go to commercial. Now. Backstage aftermath. Harrison strode through the backstage corridor, pulling off his microphone. A young assistant hurried after him, trying to coax him to stay, but he waved her off. I came here to talk about saving forests, not to argue about my flight hours, he muttered. Outside the studio, paparazzi had already caught wind of the drama. By the time Harrison got into his car, social media was exploding with hashtags. Hashtag Harrison storms off, hashtag Joy vs Ford, hashtag The View meltdown.